Hello, and welcome to the Full Send Half Mast podcast, episode number 29. Here we're talking about the Indianapolis Road Course for NASCAR. We also had SRX this weekend at Eldora. We have a little bit of news as well. Knoxville Nationals were this weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit, as well as IndyCar and Indy NXT as well there at Indianapolis. We're going to preview the races this weekend. Pretty short list. We got the SRX Championship, as well as Watkins Glen for ARCA, Xfinity, and Cup. And then we'll go through our patented Driver of the Week and Bonehead of the Week segments, as well as a Radioactive of the Week segment, which we got a special shout out there as well. So wait to the end to find that out. But first, before we get into this, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor, W Energy Blends. Introducing NeuroFactor, an all-natural coffee cherry extract that'll fuel you with energy, laser focus, and fast reflexes. Provides concentration with important amino acids and vitamins without the crash that ordinary canned energy drinks just cannot provide. Try amazing flavors such as Dragonade, Dub Sludge, Galaxy Grenade, and my personal favorite, Beach and Peach. Buy the starter pack today, including 2 flavors and a shake cup, for an extremely low price. Follow the link in the description below and use promo code DAGABOYS for 10% off your first order. Thanks to Dubby for their continued sponsorship and support of Dega Boys Broadcasting. Alrighty, so we'll get right into this with some news here. I want to make note that Sean Hingorani won the ARCA West race this weekend on Saturday night at Shasta Speedway for the Shasta 150. Kyle Larson also unveils his Indy 500 and Coke 600 schemes, which are pretty similar and identical to each other. And Connor Daly is announced to be driving for Rahal, Lanigan, Letterman at Worldwide Technology Raceway. You just can't keep the goofball away. That's a fact. And then also a new entry in the World Endurance Championship for Hypercar in 2024. Isata Franchini, a new manufacturer, new team, entering the World Endurance Championship. It's a big time for sports car racing in the world right now, especially in IMSA as well as the World Endurance Championship. Alrighty. We're going to get straight into the reviews of the races this weekend. SRX at Eldora. I believe that I took Tony Stewart to win this race. Maybe I took Newman. I can't exactly remember. But Tony Stewart wins heat race 1. He also wins heat race 2. But there was a big collision or accident there in heat race number 1, or in heat race number 2, when Austin Dillon, it looked like he lost his radiator or maybe his engine. Something went awry. Ended up spilling a lot of fluid on the track and caused like an 8-9 car pile up there. Took out a lot of the contenders in that race. So we started the main event with like I think 8, maybe 9 guys. Didn't matter though. Tony Stewart started on pole. He went flag to flag victory there in SRX. Just absolutely annihilated the field on his own track and kind of closed the gap there in the points to Newman, which we'll talk about here right now. As we're going into the season finale this weekend, the points as they stand, Ryan Newman's at 183 points. He is 39 points ahead of Stewart and 47 points ahead of Andretti. So that is pretty exciting there in SRX as the season's coming to a close this weekend, coming up. Also this weekend, we had the Reese's 200 at IRP, or Lucas Oil Raceway, there in Indianapolis. We saw Jesse Love qualify on pole. He's been, as we've mentioned many times on this podcast, if you don't take Jesse Love to win, you're kind of not watching, I guess. It's the best way to say it. Qualifies on pole. Major incident there on lap 74 when Sean Hingorani kind of got into LeVar Scott there, ran him up the track. Sean Hingorani doing Sean Hingorani things, and it really killed LeVar Scott's car, really killed Hingorani's car, I believe, after this too. He did challenge again for the lead there later. But Fenhaus was able to secure his speed there at the end, ended up taking the lead there with about 34 to go. Fortunately, we had a caution with 16 to go, sets him up for one of those late race restarts, and Jesse Love is at the top of his game right now, probably one of the best restarters in the series, and ends up taking the lead there late and held on to win for his 7th win this season. Absolute dominance in the ARCA series. I know me and Tom have talked about it in the past. We believe that Jesse Love should be racing in the Truck Series at least next year. This guy is an unreal talent, and he is proving it weekly against a pretty stacked ARCA field. I mean, this is one of the best ARCA fields we've had in I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. It's stronger than it's been in a long time, and he is continually just dominating the ARCA series and just taking win after win, extending his points lead, and just looking like just an absolute veteran driver in the ARCA series. It's really impressive to watch. But yeah, with that incident with Hingarani into LeVar Scott, we're going to nominate Sean Hingarani for Bonehead Move of the Week. We'll give you the rest of the nominees at the end of the reviews of these races. Next, we're going to talk about the truck series, the T Sport 200, also at IRP or Lucas Oil Raceway, whatever you want to call it. Christian Eckes qualified on pole. Majeski qualified P2. Majeski is a guy that we've been saying week in, week out. This guy seems to find podiums every single race. It's pretty dang impressive. And did just that again this weekend. He ends up taking the lead there lap 4 and didn't look back. He ends up winning stage 1 and stage 2. A few of the incidents in this race, we had a crash between Haley Deegan, Landon Lewis, Greg Van Alst during that first stage. And then a major penalty here for Corey Heim. His crew member fell off of the wall on one of those late pit stops there in the final stage. I guess I didn't know that it was a penalty when a guy falls off the wall. I understand it's an extra man over the wall, but I mean, the guy falls over the wall. Like, there's got to be some type of exception for that. I mean, that is some Big Daddy NASCAR stuff right there, as Tom would say. Just ridiculous what happened there. And then we also had a caution there late with 69 to go. This was a pretty big incident involving Spencer Boyd and Dean Thompson. Dean Thompson had wrecked up the hill, I think off of turn 2. And Spencer Boyd just came in and pile drove him. Just a violent looking wreck. Fortunate they both walked away, but the cars were just destroyed. And then like I said, Majeski dominated the night, took the lead early, won stage 1, stage 2, wins the race. Wins the first race in the Truck Series playoffs. That was huge. If you're gonna win a race, you want to win it now, right? You're in the playoffs. You gotta win early. So that's gonna lock him into the next round of the playoffs. Put him straight into the final 8 there. So we'll see what he could do from here with the momentum train that he's rolling. He's been finishing second, third almost every week. So this is some good stuff. Indy NXT. At Indianapolis Motor Speedway this weekend, we saw McElrea qualify on pole. We've kind of been on McElrea this season quite a few times. This guy's kind of driving over his head, making a lot of dumb decisions, especially, look back at Detroit, look back at Iowa, taking out Foster in Detroit, and then taking out Nolan Siegel there in Iowa, which really kind of put the hamper on Nolan Siegel's championship run right there in that race, running top 4, top 5, and gets taken out by McElroy at the end of this race, but he qualifies on pole. The major incident here was with 9 laps to go. Louis Foster got a great run through 6 on McElroy. Made an inside move. McElroy shut the door. They made a little bit of contact. Unfortunately, it broke the suspension on Louis Foster's car. Took him completely out of contention to win this race. Faded after that with the suspension damage. And then the last lap, we had James Rowe also racing for the Andretti team in Indy NXT, and he ran down McElroy at the end of this race, made a last-ditch effort there on the final lap. Unfortunately, came up short, and McElroy win. McElroy gets his first win of the season. Pretty impressive. I do want to give James Rowe a shout-out here and give him a nomination for Driver of the Week. This guy has been so off this season, hasn't shown any speed. And this was a legit chance that he had to win this race. Unfortunately, couldn't get by his teammate there at the end, but a valiant effort nonetheless. And it's going to nominate him as Driver of the Week. P2 finished there in Indy NXT. Also on Saturday, we had the Xfinity Series race, the Pennzoil 150 at Indianapolis. That saw AJ Allmendinger on pole. We've seen AJ Allmendinger run a lot of Xfinity races this season. And he's been kind of struggling to get a dub in the Xfinity Series. I took him as my favorite. I felt like maybe this was the race that he was going to turn around. Won there last year. Won the Cup race 2 years ago at Indianapolis. I thought this was his race to be had. He did end up going on to win stage 1. Went on to win stage 2. But overall, I think the best car was Gibbs. Gibbs got off strategy there on that lap 8 weather delay, which really set him back there. And then he eventually was able to overcome that, get the lead with about 16 laps to go, and went on to win the race. Went on to beat Allmendinger head to head. And I think they said it was his 7th start this season, and he finally got a dub. I'm surprised by that number. I thought he was going to win a lot more or a lot sooner than that. Generational talent for sure. Yeah, that was just an amazing race. Very similar to the Cup race, which we'll talk about. There wasn't a lot of cautions. It was more straight up racing, no stage cautions. Strategy had to play, and eventually the best car did ultimately go out and win, and that was Gibbs. So that was pretty impressive. And then also on Saturday, I guess this was before the IndyCar or the Xfinity race, was the IndyCar race, the Gallagher Grand Prix at Indianapolis. Graham Rahal qualifies on pole. How about that? Graham Rahal qualifying on pole in a Rahal Letterman Lanigan car. Impressive. Yeah, and then from there, we had a caution on lap 1 between Dixon, Newgarden, and Armstrong. It looked like Palou set the corner there on lap 1 going into turn 7. Ends up turning Dixon and Armstrong, or Dixon spun to the inside. Armstrong was the one that he tagged. So both of his teammates are affected here, but ultimately what really messed up was Joseph Newgarden, who's trying to close that points gap down to Palou. Ends up going up on top of Armstrong, ripped off his front wing, killed his day. He was done. And at this point, Dixon had spun, so he had to make a pit stop to get new tires. So they kind of modified their 3-stop strategy, which the 3-stop strategy was the ultimate strategy in this race, which played out to be that way with the leaders. And with that the pit stop that he had there, he was able to tweak his strategy around a little bit. And I mean, like I said, Rahal running up front all day, and the last sequence came out, and Dixon was able to leap him, and Rahal wasn't able to run him down. Not at all. Dixon wins his 54th IndyCar race. He's won every season for the last 19 seasons in a row. Just what a veteran drive this was by Dixon. Really heartbreaking for Rahal because he had, I think, the best car in the race, qualified pole. Looked like he finally was going to get a win after just a terrible season. I mean, we've compared him to the Jimmy Johnson of the IndyCar series, not in his ability and talent, because obviously he's not Jimmy Johnson caliber, but he's a winning caliber driver, or was, and he just struggling to the max this season. Had a great run going on there. Regardless, we're still going to nominate him as driver of the week. P2 finish in IndyCar series, especially with the weekend that he had, was just super impressive. So just one spot short on strategy by Ganassi team. I mean, they just know what they're doing on these road courses and strategizing. And what did Lee Diffie say? Spin to win for Scott Dixon. That's a good way to look at it. That was pretty impressive. Saturday night, we had the 62nd running of the Knoxville Nationals. We saw Kyle Larson qualify on pole. He was pretty much the most dominant car throughout the weekend, all the prelims and everything going on there. I guess your major talking points here was you had, David Gravel, who's starting towards the back of this field. Just had to qualify his way in through the prelim nights. At the end there was one of the last few guys to transfer in. We saw Rico Abreu running second there, have a flat tire, and have to make a pit stop, so took him out of contention. And then Schuhart got to P2 there later in the race, and he ended up losing his engine from second. So it was like, if you're running second, you're just having a bad day here. But Larson was able to hang on and win, and David Gravel drove himself all the way up to P2 by the end of this race. Just an incredible drive, but that David Gravel did in this race. If you guys haven't seen this race, go back and watch it. David Gravel, hard charger, man. This guy was flying through the field, making passes, and just came up a few laps short of getting to Larson. I think if that race went 5 more laps, I think he probably would have beat Larson. But Larson wins, second Knoxville National win in his career. Awesome race. And David Gravel is going to get nominated for Driver of the Week for his tremendous performance that he did this weekend. I mean, going through the field, finishing P2 just to Larson, which Larson we've noted several times. Generational talent in himself, one of the best drivers. And it's tough. If you're going to lose to anybody, you want to lose to Larson, right? Next is the Verizon 200, the Cup Series race at Indianapolis. This is what we did the watch party, right? We were here Sunday. We did the watch party. I picked Reddick to win. I believe Tom picked SVG to win, and then Dallas picked. I think he also picked Reddick to win. So we were thinking that was going to be the ideal picks there. Suarez ends up winning pole. Looked like he had one of the top 3, 4 cars. I said going into the watch party, I said that it looked like Reddick, looked like Gibbs, McDowell, Suarez, probably the 4 best cars. And then you could throw in like a Bowman, an Elliott, a Larson, a Bell, a Gibbs, an SVG, kind of in that next tier of cars that were good. But it turned into being one of these just amazing races. Probably one of the best races we've seen all year. Strategy came into play. We didn't have any wacky stuff happen. Really, the only incident here was on lap 3 when, or I guess it was lap 2, when Logano and Justin Haley make contact. They're going through 6. They both probably could have gave each other a little bit of room. Just kind of unnecessary, especially that early in the race. But Logano jumped the curb, got into Haley. Haley went into the wall. That was the only caution. We went green from there on out. No stage cautions, which is the ideal way to run NASCAR, in my opinion, on all tracks, not just road courses, but specifically for road courses. It makes the strategy way better, makes the race way better. But McDowell ends up getting to the lead lap 6 past Suarez. He maintained it for the whole first stage, won stage 1. Then ultimately we had pit stops, a change of strategy. Hamlin and Keselowski stayed out there in stage 2 to get those stage 2 win. Hamlin ultimately did, but then cycled McDowell back to lead. During the broadcast, I kept mentioning Kyle Busch. Here comes Kyle Busch. He was just gaining on Elliott, Suarez, McDowell, running up there in the top 3 of this race. And he was getting real close to him. And then I think he had engine troubles and it just faded. The rest of his race just fell apart. I believe he had probably one of the fastest cars there in the mid part of this race. Unfortunately, had engine issues that took him out of contention. And then the major incident here with the top 3 was when Suarez made his final pit stop there. It looked like he was going to blend back out with Elliott and McDowell for the most random thing I have ever seen in racing. The most random scenario. I don't know how it could happen, but his hose, they were going around the car. They flicked the hose out there for the changer, and the hose wrapped perfectly underneath the splitter, got caught, and just killed their pit stop. Just absolutely killed their pit stop. They ended up losing about 5-6 seconds because they had to bring the jack back around to get the hose unhooked from the splitter. Killed his race. He fell back about 9 seconds off the lead. He was, by the end there, able to finish P3, which he was a top 3 car, which was a good result for him. He was like 9 seconds back, drove himself up back to about 6 seconds back, so that was a good recovery for what he could do in a non-caution race, right? But McDowell was able to get through the lap traffic there at the end better than Elliott, and he was able to not only just win this race, but win this race in dominating fashion. Me and Tom called it. We said about 4 weeks ago when we did our playoff prediction podcast, episode 24, we said that McDowell was going to win a race before the playoffs started. I thought it personally it was going to happen at Watkins Glen. I didn't expect it Indianapolis road course, but I mean, good things happen to good people, and he did it. He won, locks himself into the playoffs regardless of how many new winners we have in the last 2 weeks. He's going to be in the playoffs. Just an impressive season that he is having. Honestly, an impressive 2-3 seasons that this team has had. Really, it was from beginning of 2021, I believe it was, for the Daytona 500 that they won. Ever since then, that Front Row Motorsports team has been unstoppable. Me and Tom have been talking about their driver lineup all season as being one of the most top-notch, underrated driver lineups all year with Gilliland, McDowell, and unfortunately, they don't really have any room to bring in a Zane Smith, which is just a big Daddy NASCAR issue with the charter system is really what's causing that issue. But McDowell now is a winner this season, second career win, and I believe, which we'll get into our race predictions here later, but I believe that this isn't all we're going to see out of McDowell this season. And now to reiterate the driver of the week and boneheads of the week segments, these polls will be up at the end of the podcast for you guys to vote on. You guys really enjoy these polls, and we get some great interaction on it. But for driver of the week this week, like I mentioned, James Rowe, P2 there, only to his teammate in the Indy NXT race. We're going to nominate him. Graham Rahal, P2 in IndyCar. This is the best performance we've seen out of him all season. Missed the Indy 500 earlier this year. Comes back to Indy on the road course. Puts it on the pole. It just got beat by strategy. Really, that's it. He had a better car, just got beat by strategy by Dixon. So P2 for him. Phenomenal week for him. And then David Gravel, obviously, lost in Knoxville Nationals. Drove from the back to P2 at the end there. 1 spot short. So all of our driver of the weeks this week are all P2 finishers. So that was awesome there. And then for Bonehead of the Week, this week we have Sean Hingorani for sending LeVar Scott in the ARCA race, just doing Sean Hingorani things. Alex Palou with that early full send moment in the IndyCar race, taking out his two teammates. Unfortunately, didn't work out for Armstrong like it did for Dixon because Dixon was able to win, but ruined Armstrong and then also took out Newgarden, which was his championship contender. So just kind of like the Logano restart in the Cup Series race, just unnecessary that early in the race and really altered the ending of that race especially. And then obviously, like I just mentioned, Joe Logano restart shenanigans on that restart lap 6 absolutely just piles into his teammate Ryan Blaney. He tries to break 3-4 car lengths too late into turn 1 and just locked him up and just killed his teammate Blaney in the rear end. Almost took out multiple cars. It was a near miss for a lot of people there. Fortunate for them, but that took him completely out of contention of this race. Just an absolute boneheaded move. So we'll nominate him. Those polls, again, will be up at the end of this podcast for you guys to vote upon. Real quick, we're going to look at the IndyCar points and then the Cup Series points here before we jump into race previews and predictions for this weekend. The Cup Series points are as Truex, your points leader here at 830. He is currently 60 points ahead of Hamlin and 105 points ahead of Byron. So it's looking like Truex has kind of got this regular season title locked up. Just can't have any bad races these last two, and he will get those 15 bonus playoff points going into the playoffs. Huge moment for him. And then it gets interesting at the cut line. With McDowell winning, it changes the cut line now. It puts Bubba on the cut line, and Suarez, who made up 30 points on Bubba Wallace this week in the point standings to move him up to 17 in points. And he is currently 28 points behind 16th Bubba Wallace. So if there's a new winner, it'll knock Bubba Wallace down. That'll put Harvick and Keselowski on the cut line. The odds of that happening are pretty high, considering that it's a road course and Daytona. So I think really for the next few weeks, I think if you're Bubba, you're racing Suarez, and if you're Suarez, you're racing Bubba. And then I think it's the same with Harvick versus Keselowski.
I think Suarez is gonna do it. I don't
know.
It's gonna be tight. He can do it, man. I think Watkins Glen, that's his jam. Look how good he did at Indy RC. And then we go into a super speedway where we know that Bubba is just going to go balls to the walls every lap, and it's going to be a Talladega 2.0 spring race.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I want to talk more about this cut line and playoff predictions here after we do our race predictions, because I think that is going to kind of determine how we think that this is going to play out. Because obviously you had McDowell and you had Allmendinger making up points. It looks like Allmendinger is an absolute must-win in the last two races. He's so far back. I said Gibbs and McDowell would get in on points. Well, McDowell got in on a win. Gibbs is currently, I think, 49 points behind this cut line. So I think we're going to have to reevaluate who we think are going to make the playoffs here. And these predictions are here in a little bit are going to determine that. And then real quick, the IndyCar points. Palou is currently 101 points over his teammate Dixon, who's in second, and then 105 over Newgarden. With, I think it's Gateway, Portland, Laguna Seca left. So I think Palou is safe. I really do. I think that title is kind of locked up here. So I guess we'll just have to let it play out. You never know. Just crazy stuff's happened in racing before, but it looks like Palou's pretty much got this. All right, so now we're going to get into race previews for this weekend. The SRX Championship finale on Thursday. We're just a couple days away from that at Lucas Oil. And then we also have ARCA Xfinity and Cup at Watkins Glen. Those are your only races this weekend. So for the SRX notable entries, we got Jonathan Davenport, like I mentioned last week, making the finale here. Ernie Francis Jr., he's making an SRX attempt again. Kenny Wallace is back. Elio Castroneves is back, as well as Clint Boyer. So those are some good picks, or some good exciting drivers there for the SRX finale. Like I said, at the points, Newman is 39 points ahead of Stewart, 47 ahead of Andretti. I think Newman is a shoe-in for this title, so it'll be interesting to see if somebody else can get a win before the end of the season. Maybe Stewart pulls some crazy stuff out of his hat here at the end of the season. Newman has some trouble in the last race. Who knows, but I believe Newman's got it locked up. Notable entries for the Xfinity race. We got AJ Allmendinger back in a colleague all-star car. I think this will probably be his final start he makes in the Xfinity Series this season. Alex Bowman will be racing the number 17 Hendrick Motorsports car, get some more experience there. Gibbs in the number 19 JGR car. This will be his 8th start this season. You'll have to stay tuned for my prediction there. And then Connor Mosack for Sam Hunt Racing in the 24, and then Chastain is driving for DGM again. And then for the Cup Series, we got Andy Lally going from the 51 Rick Ware to the 15 this week. Rockenfeller's back in the 42 Legacy car. And then Custer's racing for Rick Ware racing the 51. And then Balicki's back for Live Fast. So that's a pretty good lineup there. I mean, not as star-studded as last week, but we got some ringers back here. All right, it's time to make our predictions for the SRX race. Favorites and dark horses. I think I expect a pretty clean race in this SRX finale. I don't think there's going to be a lot of carnage. I think it's going to be a pretty straight-up race. I'm going to take Newman as my favorite. I think he gets a walk-off dub and takes the championship all in one night. It's going to be a big moment for Newman. I would have never predicted Newman winning a SRX championship before he won a NASCAR championship. How crazy is that? What a moment for Newman. I feel like that's all he wanted, right? Just to win one championship and something before he stepped aside from racing, and I think he's going to get it. I just don't think any crazy stuff's going to happen. I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward race. He's going to get it done. And then my dark horse, I'm going to take Jonathan Davenport. I know he has not been running good in dirt late models this season. Right now, Bobby Pierce is just absolutely pulling a Max Verstappen in the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. He is winning pretty much every race that they go to. Jonathan Davenport isn't even top 5 wherever they go. He's getting beat by Ricky Thornton. He's getting beat by O'Neill. I mean, he is just out of his element this season. But if he's got more experience on dirt than a lot of these guys, and I feel like this is the type of car that kind of matches a dirt late model, so I believe that he's a great pick to be a dark horse to challenge Newman here for the win. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, so I'm going to choose Newman as well because, I mean, that man's just on a roll, and he could wrap it up this week. So I think it'd be crazy to... I mean, I don't know. You know what? Tony Stewart's been really turning up lately, so I think either Tony Stewart or Newman is a great choice. But I'm going to go with Newman. And then with my dark horse, I'm going to go... I think it'd be a dark horse, right? I'm going to go with Bowyer.
Yeah, I agree.
I you know, even with these SRX races, he's not, you know, not a superstar, but I think that something can change and Bowyer could actually do something with these cars, and it'd be really cool to see Bowyer back in a top 3 position, you know, outside of NASCAR and everything that's happened to him in the past couple of years. I think it'd just be cool.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be really cool. I think another guy to watch too here, kind of under the radar, is Kenny Wallace. I think he's going to do a lot better in this SRX start than he did in the first one this season. I think he's going to be more in his element, and I think he's just going to have fun with it. When Kenny Wallace is having fun, everybody's having fun. So I think that's going to be a good time. Next, we'll talk about the ARCA race, the General Tire 100 at the Glen. I didn't get a entry list for this. The ARCA series was really bad about that. So I don't know if Swalich is even driving, but between him and Jesse Love Wright, you're going to take them every week. I'm going to throw Swalich. I'm going to take a whim that he's going to start this week and race. So I'm going to take Swalich. And then I'm really high on this guy. I am so high on this guy. I think this guy is just a matter of time before he wins. I think if he gets one more year in ARCA, I think he's going to start pulling a Jesse Love type year this season. I think that's Andres Perez. This guy is just got it figured out. He's learning so much week in, week out, and just improving and improving. And I think it's a matter of time before he finds a victory before the end of the season. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, so just like what you said with Swalich, it's either Swalich or Love. So obviously, I'll just go Love because, you know, we'll just do our star-studded pack here. You know.
Heck yeah.
And then with dark horses, and you know, you were saying you're really high on Perez. I am too. He's a fantastic driver, and he will be somebody to look out for here in the future. Just give it time. But I also think somebody who's almost on that same plane, probably not the same plane, but maybe a half step down, is Toni Breidinger. And she is probably the most talented female driver in oval track racing right now. And I will put money on that. And I think, again, it's just a matter of time before we see her up front, winning races, possibly contending for championships, maybe a little bit further down the line. Not, like I said, not on the same level as Perez, but she's very close. But we're going to be seeing some great things out of her. And I think, a weekend like this, at an Xfinity race where we see so many first-time winners at Watkins Glen, it can happen. I think absolutely it can happen.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's a question I want to ask you, right? I think most Hailie Deegan fans, I'm not really talking about Hailie Deegan in general here, but I think most Hailie Deegan fans are guys, necessarily they're fans that want to see a female driver do good, right? They at the core, their heart's in the right place, right? They just are lost by a cloud over their head of this whole Hailie Deegan phenomenon, right? Do you think that these people should start looking towards a Tony Breidinger to get behind? Because, I mean, honestly, she's a quiet, more shy race car driver. Like, she's not out in the open on YouTube blasting herself all over the place, but she puts her head down, goes to work, gets results, and improves on a weekly basis. Do you think we should start shuffling these people over to the Tony Breidinger camp and show them what real race car driving is all about?
Yes, and I don't think that her not being in the spotlight is a bad thing. I think she has most likely has her priorities straight. She's got racing on her mind. She doesn't have, I need to update that I'm eating at Subway right now because my followers would love this while I'm gonna race a truck series race tomorrow. Something dumb like that, or, building a golf cart track in my backyard, like, who cares, man? I want to see you do good. Like, go out on the track, show that, you're a part of this team, first off. Probably the biggest thing, showing that you're a part of the team. Second off, putting the work in and trying to not only, get good results, but raise morale, get people going on what your end goal is, But third off, going out there and getting the results that is warranted. And I think that with a particular driver, we're not getting that. We're just getting the social media side. But when we go to Tony Breidinger, I mean, nobody knows about her except for the people that watch the series, but she is putting together a phenomenal season. I mean, more than 2 top 5s. I mean, I think she's got 5 top 5s right now. Something like 8 top 10s. Something like that. I mean, that's insane. And nobody's talking about it. That's the biggest crime right now when it comes to female drivers in the sport. That is a crime. It is a crime.
Yeah, that's all great points. And to the morale thing too, with the social media and then having the morale around your team. I just want to make note, when Hailie Deegan ran the SRX race last week, her crew chief in the truck series went with her to that race and gave her all the support in the world and was right there with her, giving her advice on how to drive the track. Why can't she put videos of her going to the race shop and spending time with her guys building these race trucks that get tore up every week? Why isn't she doing her part in going and supporting her team? I guess that's just my biggest beef that I have, is like you mentioned with the support. The support is everything. If you're not a morale as a team, you're not going to succeed. And I think that's the biggest downfall we're seeing out of that 13 team this season.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Xfinity Series. We got the Shriners Children's 200 at Watkins Glen. My favorite for this weekend, I went back and forth on this one. I'm not taking Allmendinger anymore. I mean, I picked him the last two road courses in the Xfinity, and he has absolutely just failed the world here. I think I might change it still. I think I still might change it. I was thinking Gibbs going all week, or like the last couple days. I've been looking at the entry list and going Gibbs, but you know what? I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm taking Bowman. I think Alex Bowman is gonna win the Xfinity Series race this week in Watkins Glen. He's in an HMS number 17 car. That car has won several road courses in the past few years with Byron or with Larson in the Xfinity Series. I think Elliott even might have won in it at one time. Bowman, last time he was in this car, he finished second in the Xfinity Series race at IMS last year. I think he wins. I think Bowman takes the dub this weekend in the Xfinity Series. And then for my dark horse, I'm a huge fan of this guy. This guy, nobody even talks about him. I mean, it is so under the radar. It's unreal. Brett Moffitt. And you guys are probably like, who the heck is that guy? I've never even seen him. And This guy is always there every week. Look at the end results. He's in the anywhere from 8th to 12th every single week. This guy is so underrated. He is in a car. I bet you can't even name the team he's driving for. I can't even name the team he's driving for. This guy's unreal. Yeah, so I like Brett Moffitt. That's who I'm taking as my dark horse. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, I got some. You know what? I know you went on your rant about Allmendinger, but you know what? By golly, I'm giving him one more chance, okay? He's going to be my favorite. Look, Allmendinger's been through a lot this year. He's been through a struggling startup full-time cup team. He's probably just extremely frustrated. I don't know. I think all of us want to see Allmendinger do good, because when he does good, he's the greatest thing for the sport. I mean, I remember watching him win at I think it was Vegas in the Xfinity Series last year or something. His
something like that.
Radio chatter was just bleep, 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 yeah, you know, just like, you know, I mean, it was cool, you know, and he was just really excited, and I don't think he's there anymore. I think that he's been battered and beaten and just, I don't know. I think this is a good opportunity for Allmendinger to come in and win something and do something that's meaningful for the team. And I don't think it goes to say that he's not trying, because I think he is trying. I think he's just extremely frustrated. But I think, again, this weekend's a great opportunity to come out and do something. So I think with it being one of the last road courses of the year, he probably has a little motivation there and could get something done. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But he's going to be my favorite. And then dark horses, I can't begin to explain to you how much I thought about this over the past 2 days. There's so many good dark horses you can choose in the Xfinity Series. I mean, you've got the Jordan Anderson Racing Group, and, you know, Jay and I, we really used to clown on Jordan Anderson a lot. And, you know, that's fine. That's Jordan Anderson, but yes, it is. But that's Jordan Anderson as a person, right? His race team and Jeb Burton and Parker Ratzlaff, they're actually, I mean, they're doing some work in that camp, right? Then you got the Siegs. The Siegs are just doing phenomenal this year, and their race results don't really show because they always get caught up in late race crap, you know. And then you've got an already one-time road course racer winner, Jeremy Clements. He'd be a great choice for a dark horse this weekend. But I think that with how this guy's come up has been throughout this year and what he's done on track, Brett Moffitt is just the man. And you just cannot go wrong with it. He is a silent sleeper. He attacks when he needs to attack. He chills out when he needs to chill out. Defends when he needs to defend. I mean, just a great overall well-rounded driver at the moment, and doing a great job with such a underfunded, unknown team. Nobody knows, you know. You brought up a great point there. Nobody knows. I mean, but he is honestly, in his own world, just, or in the world of underfunded, no-name teams, lighting the world on fire right now. He really is. But so I think that Brett Moffitt absolutely is a great choice.
Yeah. Brett Moffitt won the championship in the trucks a couple years ago. What other guy has won a Truck Series championship and never got a good opportunity at the next level or the next level? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't happen. I think the last one I could put a name to would be James Buescher. Nobody even knows James Buescher won the 2012 Truck Series championship. This dude's the most forgotten guy ever.
It's like Jenson Button in F1.
Yeah.
You know,
nobody knows.
Because right after he won his championship, Mercedes went on their tear, and nobody knows the guy who won the championship before Mercedes, because it's Mercedes. Yep. You know, but besides the point, yes, Brett Moffitt in the 16 truck, because he was racing for Hattori, yes. They were so freaking good that year, dude. They were insane. But and
then they got Austin Hill, and they were good again. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, he fell off the face of the earth after that.
Yeah, undeservingly. I mean, it's weird.
Yep.
Weird to me. But yeah, that summarizes the Xfinity Series predictions right there. And then we'll go straight into the Cup Series. We're going to give our predictions. And then I'm going to open the floor up here to Tom because we're going to discuss a little bit about our expectations going in these last two races and what the playoffs hold, or leading up to the playoffs. So, my pick this weekend, I'm going to stick with it. I picked this four weeks ago, guys. I picked this 4 weeks ago. Unfortunately, I missed it by a week, but I'm going to take McDowell. I think McDowell does a Buescher, and he goes back to back. Look how good he ran there last year. This guy, in the rain, drove through the field and put like 15 seconds on him. And then when it went dry, he still had the pace. I mean, he doesn't have HMS pace, but this year they're so much faster than they were last year, and he was still a top 3 car all day last year. I think he wins this race. I think he wins it pretty convincingly. And then a hot take here. It could be a hot take. I don't think it's a hot take, but I just like the video I put up yesterday. I mean, this guy is having a Titanic-esque season. He is just falling off the edge of the planet in half, hit an iceberg. I don't know what happened. Chase Elliott, he's my dark horse this weekend. I don't think you could take him as a favorite this weekend. I know that the betting odds in Vegas will. I know everybody on ESPN will. I know everybody in the Appalachians will. But I don't think Chase Elliott is a favorite. I think he is a dark horse right now. He doesn't. One race this season he should pace, and that was at Indianapolis, and still got beat. And all the excuses coming out of the Appalachians this past couple days have been off the rails. They are crawling right now, and they are putting all of their eggs. They're putting their mortgage on this house, of their house on this race. This is the race they've got circled. They've had it circled for weeks now. Watkins Glen. I don't think he does it. I think I'm putting him as a dark horse. I think he's going to be there, but McDowell's going to win this race. 100%. Who do you got, Tom?
Of course, I've got McDowell too. I mean, right before the stream, we were talking about it, Jay. Back in 2016, we were hot on this dude and what he was doing with front row. What he was doing with Levine and the 95 car, getting kicked out there for Chris Bell and then coming over to front row. Or was it Matt?
Well, they switched it. Yeah, it was Matt Benedetto, I believe.
It was. Yeah.
Because they went to Toyota and they wanted Matty D.
D. That's right.
But anyways, basically got shipped off. Yeah.
Yeah. Went to front row and now doing work. The best underdog you could ever have in the Cup Series. Is he really an underdog anymore? No. Is he? I think this is the come up of Front Row Motorsports right here. We are seeing it. It is happening now. Front Row Motorsports in 1 or 2 years will be one of the top teams racing for wins in that Ford camp. Mark my words.
You know what this reminds me of is Furniture Row. Remember? Furniture Row had nothing until they got Kurt Busch. And then they end up going from, I don't know, mid-20s, 30s every week, and then they win a championship. Could we be seeing the next Furniture Row with Front Row?
Yes, I think so. It's the next come up, man. It is the next come up. Mark my words. Front Row Motorsports is going to get a third charter. I think it's going to take some time, but they're going to get it from Rick Ware because he's finished bottom 3 every freaking year. They're going to get Zane Smith in this series, and it's going to be over. The 34, 36, and 38 are going to take over this series. Just watch. Okay? That is my hot take there. And then for my dark horse, I'm going to go with Suarez. I mean, you could choose Elliott. You could choose Suarez. I think all 3 are a great choice for Watkins Glen. I really do. Even Tyler Reddick you could choose as a favorite. Not as a dark horse, but as a favorite, you could choose Tyler. I think Tyler Reddick's going to be fast, but I'm just going to go with Suarez. You chose Elliott. I think those 3 guys, again, are going to be up front competing for this win this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you got to throw Ty Gibbs as that next dark horse there. I think watch out for Ty Gibbs. That guy's got on a mission point right now. But yeah, I think that's pretty much where we're looking right there. I don't think you want to look anywhere outside those 5 guys that we really mentioned. Those are the guys, the cream of the crop right now on road courses. So
yeah,
watch out. And then that leads us to our fantasy. This weekend, I am taking Chase Elliott because I'm going to use him now because I'm not using him in the playoffs because he ain't making them. And then I'm going to take McDowell because he's going to win the race. Easy pick there. And then I'm going to take his teammate Gilliland. Gilliland ran so good here last year. He was leading at one point until he broke his rear end. He probably could have won that race. Honestly, got his first win. I'm taking Gilliland again. I think he's on a high. I think he was one of the top 5 cars at IMS. But when he spun through the gravel trap and ripped his diffuser off in practice, I think it killed his car the whole weekend. So, yeah, I'm taking Gilliland. I'm taking Bowman. I think that Hendrick team, kind of like with Elliott, I think they're going to throw the cheating parts on that car. They're going to throw everything they can at it this weekend to get this one last shot to win because Daytona, they know nothing's going to happen. And then I'm going to take Suarez. Like Tom said, I mean, Suarez is on another level right now. His driving ability's up. They've improved that 99 team, and that's my lineup. That's my 5 drivers.
Okay. I've got Suarez, obvious reasons. I've got McDowell, obvious reasons. Tyler Reddick, we just got done talking about. I think he's a great choice. I got the 9 car for obvious reasons with Elliott there. And then I really had a hard time choosing the 5th driver. I'm not really sold on it, in my opinion. I kind of went back and forth. I mean, I should use Gibbs. I really should. You know what? I'm changing it. I am going to use Gibbs. I'm going to use Gibbs as my last pick there, because I think he's got a lot to fight for, and I think this weekend's a great opportunity for him to get something done. Absolutely, yeah. And he has speed. I mean, the Toyota camp just in general has speed. You got Tyler Reddick, and 23XL and Gibbs. Aren't they like? Don't they have like some sort of agreement there?
Yeah, they're
data
like
sharing.
Yeah, it's basically all Toyota performance. Is all it is. Yeah, really.
Right. Okay. So, I don't know. I think that. I mean, my original choice was Ross Chastain, but like I said, I don't know who to put in the 5th position. Just talking about it now, I think Gibbs is a better choice.
Yeah. Well, and like you say though, the Gibbs, he's got so much to prove. He's got nothing to lose, right? Gregson's gone. Who's he racing for the rookie year? He's got it locked up. He literally has nothing to lose. He should just go for broke. I mean, you either win or you don't. You lose nothing. I mean, really.
Yep.
You're a rookie. You have no expectations anyway, and you've got it locked up. So go for broke. Go for broke, guy. Let's do it. And then we have matchups, right? The first one. This is a damn good matchup right here. We got McDowell and Suarez. I mean, you could go either way. I'm going to take McDowell because I think he's going to win the race. That's really the only deciding factor for me.
Yeah. Me too. I have always been a McDowell fan. Always have been. And so, and I think he's a better road course driver than Suarez. Just my opinion. That's my opinion. But I 34 over 99.
Yeah. And then this one's an interesting too. Teammates. I think Elliott won it 2 years in a row, 2021, 2020. And then Larson won it 2021, 2022, won it 2 years in a row. So he's trying to go 3 in a row. So this is the matchup this week. I think Elliott's over Larson. I just think that right now Hendrick's throwing all their eggs in the 9 and 48 basket, especially the 9 basket for this last 2 weeks. And I think that Elliott's going to have the most cheated up car you could ever imagine. We'll never go to R&D. But yeah, I think Chase Elliott's going to get a better result than Larson by far.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that they got to put their golden child in the playoffs. They have to. Could you imagine a world where the 9 doesn't make the playoffs? I mean, we're about to find out. But I agree with everything you said. They're gonna be throwing the book at it, baby. They're gonna be doing everything they can to get that 9 car in the playoffs, and I think that 9 car is going to have some crazy experimental stuff on it over the 5. And because the 5's already in.
Yeah.
So
the only thing they lose, the 5 isn't going to do that because they're going to lose all their playoff points. There's no reason to even go experimental.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
9 over 5.
Yeah. And then the next one is the 48 over the 11. And I think I'm same scenario with Elliott. I think Hendrick's going to do everything they can with the 48 car as well. They're not going to give him the stuff that they give Elliott, for obvious reasons. But I think that Hendrick wants to at least get one of these cars in the playoffs at the very least at the end of the day. So I think that the 48 is going to be fast this weekend. I think it's going to be a lot like IMS. It's going to be mid top 5 to top 10 all day long. And Hamlin's not a good road racer. I think that Chicago pole got everybody's hype train on Hamlin up, but he's just really never been a great road racer. I mean, he had flashes at Sonoma once or twice in his career, but he's never been a great road racer. I just don't see him doing good this week. I'm taking Bowman over Hamlin.
I'm actually going to take Hamlin over Bowman for this one fact. The 48 car is freaking cursed. It is cursed.
It's so truly.
All right? And that's it. We're going to see, I think we're going to be seeing that 48 car wreck this weekend, and it's going to be race ending. I have that feeling, man. I really do. I'm on the same page. I hear what you're saying, Jay. They're going to be cheating that car up. I get it. But that 48 car and the driver of the 48 car is so freaking cursed, man. They cannot. I mean, you could have God on your side and they couldn't finish good. That's just my opinion. That's, I can't. I can't get on board with it. I can't.
Yeah.
I really hope he changes my mind this weekend. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to throw all of his cards in that Xfinity race, and then he's going to show up on Sunday, and like you said, it's going to fall apart right away. He'll be running third or fourth in the late race restart and finish 35th. I mean, that's kind of been the mantra of that 48 team all season. And then the last one here is Gibbs and Bubba. Gibbs. I'm not even going to talk about it.
Yeah. No, you can't. You can't. The Gibbs is just so far superior on a road course. Just so much superior. So much more superior.
Alrighty. Before we get to the last segment here, the Radioactive of the Week, and send you guys off, we're going to make one last playoff prediction, and we're going to have to stick with it for the last two races. So, right now, we got 13 different winners. Right now, we got Kevin Harvick and Keselowski running 14th, 15th in points. They're 2 points separated. So, obviously, they're going to be racing each other to be... because one of those two are going to make it regardless if we have two new winners, right? It's impossible for both of them to get eliminated. It's going to be one or the other, way they are in points, and how many races are left to lock in. So those two are going to be racing each other. And then you got Bubba, 28 points ahead of Suarez, 49 points ahead of Gibbs. I think Gibbs is too far out to point in, but Suarez, I think he could point in, right? So out of those drivers I've mentioned, with the races remaining, we picked McDowell to win this weekend, so we got to count this weekend's over, right? There's not going to be a new winner this weekend. It's going to be McDowell who's going to repeat. So going into Daytona, with where the points sit, who wins Daytona, and or who makes it into the playoffs? What are your predictions?
All right. I don't think that Bubba's going to win. I think there's an opportunity for Suarez to win this weekend. Gibbs can't point his way in.
No,
he's got to win.
It's possible. Yeah.
Gibbs has a small possibility of winning this weekend. Dude, I don't know. I really don't. Let's see. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I already know what I think is going to happen. I guess way I look at it right now, McDowell wins this weekend, easy. So that makes it where we got one race left. I think leaving this weekend, I think Suarez closes another 20 points on Bubba. He's going to be 7 to 10 points behind Bubba going into Daytona, right? I think Gibbs also, I think he runs better than Suarez this weekend. I think he gains 20-something points on Bubba, but he'll still be 30-something out going into Daytona. So that's going to put him in a must-win. Everybody's going to be a must-win. It's going to be a battle between Bubba and Suarez, right? I think what happens is, going into Daytona, I have a feeling Bubba is going to make a mistake late in this race, trying to win the race when he doesn't need to win the race. He's going to wreck. Suarez is going to run a clean race and capitalize. He's going to point his way in. Keselowski's going to win Daytona. That's my next week prediction. Keselowski's going to win Daytona, so he'll lock himself in with that win. And then Suarez will get that 16th spot just ahead of Bubba. And then I believe Harvick will get in on points as well in 15th. That's my prediction for the rest of the season. And I'm going to stick with that.
So, yeah, I don't think Bubba's going to make it in. I think Daniel Suarez is going to have another Indy RC type weekend. He's going to be closing that gap extremely hard. In fact, I think there's an opportunity that Daniel Suarez passes Bubba Wallace this weekend and puts himself into that playoff position. And then Bubba's is on the outside looking in. Bubba's, like I said earlier, Bubba's going to be, he's going to come into Daytona as a Talladega spring race 2.0, where he's just pushing so damn hard and he screws it for everybody on his team. All right, so I'm completely eliminating Bubba out of this. I think Daniel Suarez goes in. I think Brad has a great chance of winning Daytona. Yes. Yeah, I think that's your 16 right there. I think it's Daniel Suarez, Brad, and Kevin. Out of the drivers right now, I think those are going to be the people going in. Now, again, I just don't know what to do with Chase Elliott, because I do think he has a great chance of winning this weekend. I think that you'd be crazy to think that he doesn't have a good chance to win this week, or at least a chance to win this weekend. That's my biggest hiccup right here is Chase Elliott. I just don't know. I don't know.
Think he wins. I don't think he wins. And I think like I'm sticking with the McDowell winning this weekend. I think it's going to happen. So if McDowell wins this weekend, that's going to basically lock in both Keselowski and Harvick. Because then there can only be one new winner. They're both locked in 100% on points. There's no way they can fall enough points back. So then that really comes down to, do we get a new winner at Daytona? Which I don't think so. I think it's Keselowski. So I don't think him getting locked in is going to matter anyway. And Bubba's not going to run good. Like I said, I think Suarez is going to gain 20, 25 points on him this weekend. It's going to be between them for that cut line. And I think me and you are both on the same page. We think Bubba's going to choke it. He's just going to choke it, and Suarez is going to prevail in that battle. So,
Suarez is going to capitalize this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Suarez is going to absolutely surprise everybody this weekend. You're going to look at the cut line at the end of Watkins Glen. You're going to be like, "Whoa, how did Suarez just make up that many points?" Because he was 40 something points back a couple weeks ago. I mean, he's turned it up. So yeah,
he gained 30 this weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, gained 30 points on him this weekend alone. And
so if he does that again, he passes him.
Yeah. So
which he could do.
Easily could do with the amount of, if he qualifies up front and gets 15 stage points and finishes 15 points ahead of Bubba. That's 30 points right there. Because Bubba's not getting stage points. He's not qualifying up front. I mean, unless they pull some random strategy, which they might have to get stage points. They might have to do what Hamlin and Keselowski did at Indy Road Course to get some stage points to level that out. And that's probably what they will do. So I think he'll gain 20 points. I don't think he'll gain 30. But just for stage 2, I think Bubba's going to pull some strategy, finish 3rd, 4th, get 7 stage points. That's going to be the difference there. But yeah, very interesting. And there's a lot going to happen here. There's a lot to digest this weekend, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that next week, and then we'll have another podcast scheduled here in a couple weeks.
Wait, I got one question. The percentage of SHR other than Kevin Harvick winning at Daytona?
0.
What do you think? 0%?
0.
You don't think Eric, I'm gonna blow my tire?
Nope.
Oh.
I think if you're not looking at RFK to win at Daytona, I don't know what you're looking at. I think RFK.
That's a good point.
They've got it, man. They've got it. They had the 500 one. They just really choked that race. They did not make the right block at the right time, got shuffled out, and then too many cautions at the end prevented them from getting back up there. They had the 500. They're the best 2 cars in the 500, and Keselowski's due. I mean, Keselowski is absolutely due for a win. It's going to happen at Daytona.
I think bottom line, we're probably seeing the craziest next 2 weeks. Well, we're already started it. The craziest 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That we're going into the chase right now. I mean, this is insane. We're going to see. I mean, we're at 13 different winners. That's insane. What did we have last year? Was it 14?
16 going into the playoffs.
16?
15 going into playoffs.
Well, actually, we got SVG too. That's a win. So that's
14.
That's 14.
And then Almirola
right?
won the. Well, I guess you can't really count the non-point stuff. I mean, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's going to be one of those seasons again for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely one of those seasons.
The craziest. Definitely not 2012-esque, but still a very good season.
And we are going to see riots in Alabama, no matter what happens to Chase Elliott, whether he makes the playoffs or not. Alabama, the state of Alabama, is going to burn to the ground. So be prepared.
Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. The South is going to rise again.
Yeah, the South will rise again, one way or the other. Chase Elliott makes it or not. You're going to see some stuff come out of. That'll probably be the first time that. Yeah, no, I'm not going to touch on that. We'll just move on here. Alrighty. So, radioactive of the week. This week, we actually had someone guess it correctly, and I've given him a shout out, or her. Andrew Bouthot, 1966. Congratulations. You have guessed the radioactive of the week last week. It was Tyler Reddick. That was the quote. So, for this week's quote, first person to guess it, you're going to join the shout out list. So, the quote is, first gear is gone. I'm pretty blank without that. You guys can guess which driver said that quote in the post after this podcast. We'll get a shout out in next week's podcast. Again, shout out Andrew Bouthot, 1966. Good job. You got it correct. All right.
That's the first guy, isn't it?
That is the first guy. That was the first guy. We've had a couple guesses before, but this is the first one that actually guessed it right. First person in Dega Boys history to guess it. So congratulations to him. And then also, I'm going to shout out Dallas Sewart. He is a veteran tier member on our membership program on the Dega Boys Broadcasting channel. And he gets a shout out at every live stream. So thank you, Dallas, for all your continued support. We missed having you here on the podcast. We know we had you last week. And I bet you had a blast at Indianapolis this weekend. I can't wait to hear all about that. So thank you, Dallas, for all your support. And then, with that being said, we are going to wrap this thing up. I just want to, again, mention the membership program. Go on our channel now. Look into our membership program. Pick a tier that best fits you. All of that goes to support us and continuing to make great content for you at home, as well as giving you guys exclusive perks that give you bigger access to the channel. I mean, you get awesome incentive programs with every tier that you purchase. So make sure to check those out and find the one that best fits you. And you guys can become a member of the channel and get your guys shout outs and many, many awesome great perks included, as well as our merch store. Go check out our merch store. We got some awesome merch. Dallas got his stuff ordered right when we put the merch out on the channel. He's already got it. It's already there. He showed it off to us on a picture this morning. I'm so jealous. Mine's still on the way, but he got his and he is super excited to rep that. So make sure to go buy all of your Dega Boys merch. All get swagged up in Dega Boys gear and come and support us. Show it to all your friends, your family. They're going to be jealous. We got some really sick merch on there. And then, like I mentioned with the playoff predictions, we're going to have 2 podcasts here 2 weeks from now. We're going to do a normal podcast as usual, and then we'll probably do a second one before the playoffs start. We're going to come in here. Maybe we'll get Jared in here. Maybe we can get Donovan up in here. Maybe Dallas will want to join us. I'll get some other people in here, and we'll do our own player predictions. We'll go through the brackets. We'll predict who's going to go through the rounds and win the championship. It should be pretty fun to interact with you guys on that one and give our, basically we're the Nostradamuses of racing. We pretty much predict most of the stuff correct anyway. I mean, if you're not watching Vega Boys, I mean, you ain't getting the right predictions. Don't listen to Vegas. I mean, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just trying to take your money. Listen to us. So yeah, we'll give you those predictions. And then, I guess I'll let Tom mention what's going on the broadcasting side of things, especially what's coming Thursday.
Yeah, so Mondays is going to turn into something pretty cool. Can't really announce it yet, but we're kind of predicting that we can announce it here after the next update that iRacing brings. So if you guys just hold on a little bit longer there. We're still doing a little bit of fun around and find out. We're going to be doing possibly a little Pro 4 Truck Series League there on Monday. So It's still up in the air. We're still working on it. But nonetheless, it's going to be awesome no matter what comes out. So make sure you guys tune in for our Monday deals. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to be starting up our Gen 6 Cup Series. That is going to be starting on September 13th. Next month. Very close. We're getting there, baby. 14 race season. And we're going to be seeing the championship race at Charlotte. That's going to be fun. Going to be a good one there. And then Thursdays, this Thursday is actually going to be a phenomenal race. It is championship week. Or weekend. However you want to call it. I mean, it is Thursday, so. Championship week! We're going to be seeing who is going to be winning that. We've got James Morris with a huge lead there, so we'll see. Lots can happen. It's gonna be a good race. It's gonna be called live straight from our channel, Dega Boys. Make sure you guys tune in for that. And then on Sunday, starting September 17th, the same week as our Cup Series League, on Sundays, we're gonna be doing a cool little GT3 league. So we're going to be mixing it up here a little bit. We're going to go road racing. It's going to be really fun. So make sure you guys tune in for that. We're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff there. And that Sunday series is going to evolve. So you'll be seeing lots of new faces. You're going to be seeing some great driving. So make sure you guys come out for that. That's going to be extremely fun. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am. It's just going to be it's going to be phenomenal. So make sure you guys tune in for that too. That's what we got coming up with our Nexus Sim Racing Leagues. So make sure you guys just stay tuned for that. Monday's still a big question mark, but it's going to be extremely exciting if everything goes to plan. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that.
Alrighty. Well, yeah, that'll do it for this episode 29 of the Full Set Half Mast podcast. Stay tuned. Thursday, SRX Championship will be crowned. We'll come talk about that next week, as well as the playoffs. They're looming. 2 more races to go. Hopefully, best of luck to you guys and your drivers as we near the end of the season. And we'll be back next Tuesday. It'll be fun. Can't wait for it. And thanks again to everybody that comments on all of our videos, everybody that likes, comments, subscribes. I mean, the whole umbrella, everything you guys do, supporting us. We continue to grow. And we're on our way, baby. The Dega Boy fan base is growing on the regular. And we are here to be the leader in motorsports action on YouTube. So we will catch you guys in the next one. Episode 30 coming up next week. We'll see you then.